chatty crowd today. Let this be a house of peace. That is one we will have to bring back out at some other point. Okay. Welcome to all of you who are here in our beautiful sanctuary and on our campus or watching online anywhere in the world. We are so glad that you are here. I'm Catherine Bonner. I'm the Director of Programs and Religious Education here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. But today I'm also a member of our worship team that puts together our service when our settled minister, Reverend Jay Woolen, is not doing the sermon. So the worship team brings in different guests and programs so that we can hear different voices and learn different perspectives and sing different music and be uplifted or challenged spiritually as we move together on life's journey. And today's service, I guarantee you, will be no exception. I especially want to welcome our guest speakers and those mothers and their supporters who have given their powerful stories yesterday, many of whom have traveled far to be here. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. If you're a newcomer here, we invite you to stop by our welcome table, which is right outside our sanctuary doors, and sign up to get our weekly newsletter named The Contact. Or if you're online, stop by our website at www.uusrq.org to complete our virtual guest book. We are a vibrant community with many different ways to connect, and visitors are invited to participate in any of our events, whether in person or on Zoom. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, ours is a spiritual faith that has no dogma or creed. We are bound together by 6 values, and at the center of which is love. Our values include the belief that all people have inherent dignity and are worthy of respectful, loving care and fair treatment. Our spiritual beliefs may come from many different sources, and each of us is encouraged to discover our own truths. We are all connected, so what happens to one of us impacts all of us. So learn more about our faith at either our website or at www.uua.org, or come find me after the service. And after the service, we hope that you'll join us in the courtyard to view the Say Our Names monuments, get a cup of coffee or some juice, enjoy some goodies, greet our guest speakers, engage in lively conversation. You'll find that UUs love to chat. And if you want a little bit more connection, our Rainbow Alliance is holding their monthly potluck in the Reeb Room after the service. Please join in learning about what we can do to support our local trans beloveds and about new proposed laws and executive orders that put them in danger. All are welcome, whether you brought food or not. Please join. Or drop in our Chalice group at 12:15 in the library, which is also open to all. Chalice groups provide a safe space for individuals to practice their listening skills while others share their authentic selves around a topic, which today happens to be play in our lives. And on the 4th Sunday of each month, our congregation shares the collection from the plate to go to a worthy cause. So is Sharon here? I don't see, there she is. I asked Sharon to come up and to talk about this month's Share the Plate. Thank you.
Good morning. Today's Share the Plate offering will help fund Transition House for the coming year. Transition House is UUSRQ's commitment to help one family at a time transition out of homelessness. We partner with the Sarasota Housing Authority, who identifies a working family that needs a safe, affordable house and is ready and able to contribute financially. We refurbish the home for each new family and provide a rent subsidy recommended by the Sarasota Housing Authority based on the family's income. For whatever reason, a job loss, mental health issues, loss of a family member, the impact of being homeless takes a devastating toll on a family's physical, mental, and emotional health. In 2014, our congregation made the decision to partner with the Sarasota Housing Authority to help one family at a time transition out of homelessness. Since 2014, Transition House, with your support, has provided 5 families experiencing homelessness a safe and affordable furnished home and rent subsidy. Our most recent family, a dad and 2 young children, moved into Transition House in December of 2023. Today's Share the Plate supports our UUSRQ's Transition House program. Please give generously.
And now, our choir.
Good morning. I'm Reverend J. Walden, the settled minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota, and so good to be with all of you this morning, even when I'm not leading the service. Our opening reading today is entitled On the Brink by Reverend Leslie Takahashi Morris. All that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all that we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, and a greater generosity of spirit, a deeper joy in this life that we share together. As we light our chalice, let it be a symbol of the light to light our way into the future. Please join me now in affirming our value of justice, which is in the order of service and on the screen behind me. Justice, join in.
We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large.
Always nice to have a little laugh. So today's story is Say Their Names, written by Carolyn Brewer and illustrated by Adrian Brandon. Mama, Daddy, I want to say their names. Get out the back seat. Put a pause on my games. Color outside the lines and loudly proclaim love for myself as I say their names. I look around at the broken, the battered. I hear the cries of the scorned and the tattered. I feel the angels weep because these lives mattered, and it makes me want to say their names. I hear the storm of black anger and sound. I feel the heavy hearts and itchy feet pound. I see us coming up from the underground, and it makes me want to say their names. I hear demands for love, for a cease to so many of our people being made deceased. I see a new day for justice, for peace, and it makes me want to say their names. So ball your fist, push up your hand. We the people must take a stand. Change gonna come with our demands. Come on and say their names. Again, ball your fist, push up your hand. We the people must take a stand. Change gonna happen with our demands. Come on and say their names. Daddy said for more than 400 years, we've been facing our worst fears. We've been drying our heavy tears. We've been fighting hard right here. Come on, say their names. Mama said we, the people darker than blue. Mama said we, the people, know the truth. Mama said good people come in every hue. So I asked, we, the people, what are we gonna do? Come on, say their names. I see you and you see me, from shoulders to shoulders, from sea to sea. Let's breathe in justice. Let's breathe out peace. From the north to the south, from the west to the east, come on and say their names. Let's perfume the planet. Let's say their names. Let rivers of love wash away this pain. Love for our oneness. We proudly, loudly proclaim, come on and say their names. Speak light, say their names. Speak love, say their names. Speak freedom, say their names. Rise, children, rise, say their names. Ball your fist, push up your hand. We, the people, must take a stand. Change gonna come with our demands. Come on and say their names. These powerful words are a reminder that the color of my skin has protected me in so many ways that people of color just don't have. And if that we want change to happen, we need to be like the squeaky wheel and become a constant presence to our elected officials. There is power when we squeak together. So now I invite any children to join me and Miss Julie for a lesson on Mardi Gras in the West Wing. Youth are encouraged to participate in this very powerful service, but you're always welcome in the teen room if you need space. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Aubrey Phillips, Board Secretary here at the Unitarian Universalist of Sarasota. Our centering in words today comes from A Prayer to Heal the Nation from Valarie Kaur, a Sikh activist and filmmaker. In our tears and agony, we hold our children close today. We confront the truth today. The future is dark, but what if? What if this darkness is not the darkness of the tomb, but the darkness of the womb? What if our America is not dead, but a country still waiting to be born? What if the story of America is one long labor? What if all the mothers who came before us, who survived genocide and occupation, slavery and Jim Crow, racism, sexism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, political oppression, sexual assault, or burying their children, are standing behind us now, whispering in our ear, "You are brave." What if? What if this is our great contraction before we birth a new future? Let us remember the wisdom of the midwife. Breathe, she says, and then push. Today it is time to breathe out, but soon it will be time to push. Soon it will be time to fight for those we love, the Muslim father, the Sikh son, the trans daughter, Indigenous brother, immigrant sister, white, black, and brown workers, the poor and forgotten, and yes, the ones who cast their vote out of fear. Let us make an oath today to fight for the soul of America. In the words of Langston Hughes, a land that never has been yet, and yet still must be. With revolutionary love and relentless optimism, I pray, and so I pray this sick prayer. In the name of the divine, in the name of love within us and around us, we find everlasting optimism. Within your will, may there be grace for all of humanity. Thank you. We'll take a moment of silence now.
I'm Nina Tortelli, and I'm a member of our Racial Justice Coordinating Team here at UUSRQ. Before I introduced our speakers, I wanted to give a little bit of introduction to this event. This congregation is becoming known in the community for our strong support of racial justice. Tracey Washington had heard about the lynching memorial on our grounds and approached the racial justice team to have us consider sponsoring an event here at our facility to honor the victims of police brutality. After hearing her profound and moving story, along with Deanna Joseph's, and listening to their purpose and mission and conviction, we agreed. The Say Their Names Monuments Walk a Mile in Our Shoes is that powerful event that happened right here yesterday. I would like to introduce Tracey Washington. She is the founder and president of the Minnesota Reentry Project, where volunteers develop and provide programs and resources to break the intergenerational cycle of incarceration. She is also president of the Manatee NAACP. Deanna Joseph is from Tampa. She is a social worker and advocate for the rights of children and families. Her work is dedicated to increasing the visibility of a functional family life and parenting healthy children. We are so grateful for your presence here today and the presence of the Mother's Circle, and for sharing your personal stories of tragic loss with us. And we hope in the second reflection we will hear what we need to do to help prevent future loss of life in our communities. And so I welcome up Tracey to begin telling the story, and then Deanna Joseph as well.
Good morning. First of all, I always do my house cleaning when I speak. I want to say thank you to Pastor Jay, the shepherd of this house, for having us. Also, I would like to say thank you to the Racial Justice Coordinating Team for helping put this event on and also for having us here. Also, I would like for my mothers that have experienced the same pain that I've experienced to also stand up, and to Uncle Selwyn, which is George Floyd's uncle, that we also know the story of George. So I would like for them to stand up so that everybody can say hello to them. So today, as Nina has said, I am Tracey Washington. I am the president and founder of the Minnesota Reentry Project. I am the Manatee County NAACP president. But today I don't stand here in any of those roles. I stand here today as the mother of Breonte Johnson Davis. I want to thank you for coming today to hear our stories and to hear how we can move forward as a community to help this and to prevent this from happening in our communities ever again. My son Breonte was full of life. He was loved, he was human, yet he was treated as if he was disposable on November 1st, 2023. He was taken not for committing a crime, not because he was a threat, but because he needed help. And instead of receiving that help, my son was met with force. He was restrained, tased, detained, and ultimately, he never made it home. They tell us that his death had nothing to do with the actions of the officers. They hide behind their reports, their investigations, their so-called conclusions. But we know better. We know that time and time again, this system protects itself at the expenses of our lives. They weaponize our struggles, our humanity, our very existence against us. They tell our stories in ways that excuse the inexcusable. But today we are here to remove that, to unveil the truth that too many of our sons and daughters are criminalized instead of cared for. The truth that law enforcement is too often given immunity when they should be held accountable. The truth that racism and prejudice dictate who gets to be treated with dignity and who gets to be dismissed as just another statistic. I stand here today not just for Breonte, but for every name and every life that was taken by this system, and I refuse to let their names be buried under excuses. I refuse to let them tell me that no one is responsible, because someone is. So to my fellow mothers, my fellow families who know this pain, please stand with me, speak with me, fight with me. We cannot afford to wait for justice to find us. We must demand it. We must build it. We must be it. So let this day be more than a gathering. Let it be a call to action. Let it be a promise to our children, those stolen from us and those still here, that they will not stop until the mask of immunity, racism, and prejudice is ripped away for good. And I said all of that to say this. On November 1st, 2023, my son was having a paranoid episode in a Circle K store in Palmetto, Florida. The store clerks didn't know what to do because Breonte was just all over the place. He suffered from drug addictions. He was just screaming, help, 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 help. So the help that they thought that they could get, they called 911. Upon calling 911, instead of having a mental health professional that showed up, we had officers that showed up. And Briante was tased within 19 seconds of the officers arriving. He was tased until he went into cardiac arrest. My baby was down for almost 10 minutes, not breathing, not responding, not even getting any aid, while the officers in EMS just stood there laughing and talking. There was a sergeant that ended up coming to the scene, and he looked down and he noticed that Briante wasn't responding anymore, so he had to let them know that they needed to start CPR. I kept Briante alive for 23 hours on a respirator until he got tired, his body got tired, and he let go before I had to make the decision to remove that machine. I want you to know that every officer, there was 4 officers involved. Every officer that was involved in that tragic situation was never held accountable. Even after there was an investigation between FDLE and our state attorney for the 12th Judicial Circuit, no one was ever even put on desk duty. One of the officers made a statement, a derogatory statement that sticks with me, that will stick with me for the rest of my life. He said he got a chance to use his brand new taser, you know, the ones that we pay for every year. He got a chance to use his brand new taser and it felt so good. When we asked the chief of police in a press conference, was this officer reprimanded? Remember, I just told you a couple minutes ago, no one even got desk duty with a 90-day investigation that they closed that said no wrongdoing or no finding from the officers. The chief of police said that the officer made that statement because his adrenaline level was high. My statement to him was, I would hate to see when his adrenaline level gets high again, he might come out with his gun and shoot one of your children. That officer is still on our streets, everyone. That officer is still out there as one of the men in blue that said they're here to serve and protect us. I won't stop fighting. Regardless of what they say, what FDLE says, or what anybody else says, I will fight to the last breath in my body till I get justice for my baby. And it starts right here with those monuments. Walk a mile in our shoes. Because I want everybody in this room today, if you have children, to just think about walking a mile in my shoes and all the mothers that's here today. And that's just a handful of them, because there's a lot of us all across the nation. And every narrative that you hear, no matter what city, no matter what state, and I sit on a lot of calls for impacted families, and all of our stories are the same. Where's the truth in it? It can't be any truth when every story is the same and every situation is different. But that's the narrative that they paint for everybody to see in the media, to see on the news. We lose family members, we lose friends, because they act like we're the bad guy, but we're actually the victims that's lost our children. So I start here today with the monuments out there. We started with 50. But there's so many more of them. We started off that to say, walk a mile in our shoes to feel how we would feel if it knocked on your front door. Because I was one of those parents that would scroll past it or turn the TV whenever I saw it come on TV again, and I said, oh, here we go again, until it knocked on my door and I looked through the Ring camera. See, this happened with Briante. at 2:19 a.m., and I wasn't notified until almost 8 o'clock the next morning, and they had my information the whole time. I was told by an ICU nurse that he was just dropped off in cardiac arrest. The hardest thing that I've had to do in my life was watch my child die slow, and there was nothing I could do about it. So I just ask you in this room today to stand with us, to support us. Let's come up with a plan so it does not happen again in our neighborhoods, in nobody else's neighborhoods. Because the hardest thing that you could do is just see your child laying there, motionless, and there's nothing that you can do to help them. So before it knocks on your front door, let's do something about it. Thank you.
To walk a mile in our shoes and to understand the dynamics of the place in which we stand before you today. My name, as was mentioned, is Deanna Joseph. And yes, I am a professional social worker. Yes, I am a co-founder of an organization named the Andrew Joseph Foundation. And yes, I've done private practices and I've worked in clinical settings, but none of the educational framework could have prepared me for the day in which I would have to bury my 14-year-old son, Andrew Joseph III. You see, a day in which most children, school-age children, in Hillsborough County would receive a ticket to go to the Florida State Fair on Student Day, would be a day in which I would think that that would be the safest day to ever go to the fair, because it is a day in which children are invited to the fair to attend with the school district's blessing, with a day off from school, with tickets in their hands, with a day in which the carpool mom would bring the children to the fair. And I want you all to imagine your children on a Friday night with a day off from school, with a ticket in their hand, and just being so excited by the fact of having an evening out with friends, eating funnel cakes, going from the bumping cars to the Ferris wheels, enjoying themselves, understanding that they will be alone with their friends, their classmates, their teammates, their little league friends. And you would think joy would be on their minds. Never thinking that those who are there to protect and serve, those who sign up to be in that supervisory chaperone type of facility would be the ones who will racially profile your little 14-year-old son and his 12-year-old friend. You would never imagine that these children would be looked at as gang people. You would never imagine that they would be stripped of their clothing, looking for what you would say would be gang identifiers of tattoos and things. You would never imagine that they would be loaded into a paddy wagon and dumped on the side of the road at night. And you would never imagine that your child would be killed on I-4 interstate, and to be in the custody of the Hillsborough County Sheriff Department and never receiving a phone call that your child was even detained. You see, you would have to walk in my shoes to actually somehow feel or be a part of some scenario, because it would be as if you were in a twilight zone. This lady that's standing before you could not be telling all the truth. There must be elements to this story that is just not adding right. I would tell you there's elements to this story in which you would go online and see the Hillsborough County's chat line, and they're talking about the family, and they're talking about this incident, and it was the night in which the monkeys went wild. To read those things as a victim family who has just buried their child, and to have been thrust in a system as a social worker where you looked to those officials to help you in your case and to help you in your court reporting because you had clients who needed them and needed their care. And then to know and result to a system that betrays you with words of your child being a daddyless monkey, and how the driver made roadkill out of him that night. You see, those are the depraved hearts of those that are among us in our department, within our Hillsborough County Sheriff Department, because I'm going to be specific and clear on who the enemies really were that night. You see, nothing could have prepared me for the utter betrayal of trust in a system that you all study and you protect, and you say that it can't be, but it is. It is the wretched state of our affairs. It is the police department that have created the harm, and it's the police department that has gone with impunity for way too many years. You see, it reminds me of that time in which our ancestors were helpless and their children were stolen by slavery. And they had no recourse, they had no say, they had no power to stop the theft of their children, the theft of generations to come that would be their family lineage, that they would never know. Because I never know what my son's last words were that night, because I was not there to pray him through. You see, he died on the side of I-4 in front of the Seminole Rock Heart Casino. That's where my son's last breath, that's where his blood is shed and stains that concrete. You see, that's where I have to pass each day just to go to work and revisit that part of the highway in which my only 14-year-old son was stolen and taken from me. It's a bitter pill to swallow. It's an awful, ugly shoe to wear. I never asked to wear these shoes. Walking in these shoes are painful. It is a life sentence for a crime I did not commit. Trusting the Hillsborough County School District with my children. Trusting a public official organization with my child being the Florida State Fair. Trusting the Hillsborough County Sheriff Department. You see, the one time I ever needed the police, they failed me. I need a return of all the tax dollars I've paid into this system, because that one time I ever needed them, my child was dead. The one time my mother and father, who are in their 70s now, ever needed them, their grandchild is dead. My great-grandmother, who's now 100 years old, who never needed them, and her grandchild is dead. You see, these are those stories that you don't hear often. These are those stories in which you just look at the television and you may say, those poor people. Well, yes, I am one of those poor people, but I'd be darned if I'm going to sit here and allow this system which betrayed me to get away with this genocide of Black life, Black bodies, and humiliation of children. So it was through the work of the Andrew Joseph Foundation that I had to pull from my clinical experience and build something greater in which there would be policies and procedures where children would receive a phone call home if they were in police custody. It was there where I had to go to the school board meetings and advocate that the tickets that children receive is promoted by having a family day at the fair so that parents can be invited and be the supervisors of their children rather than law enforcement, who then came to the rescue and said, but we're not babysitters. We didn't ask you to be babysitters, sir. We asked you to protect our children and provide a phone call. You see, the night that Andrew was taken, and what many of you who may have heard the story almost 11 years ago on February 7, 2014, was that a Little League teammate was being apprehended by the police. He picked up a hat and a shoe from the Little League team member and gave it back to him. He says, Andrew, do you see what they're doing to us? And Andrew says, yes, I see what they're doing to you, but here's your hat and shoe. It is then that Corporal Clark, retired Corporal Clark, takes Andrew and says, do you know these children? And he says, yes, sir, I do. We play Little League ball together. So now Andrew's handcuffed and shackled and taken to the processing center, where he's stripped of his clothing, where he's photographed. And the last photo I have of my son is a photo with him holding it, is a mugshot photo with his name, Black male, and his date of birth of March 30th, 1999. In that photo, I can see the fear in my child's eyes, wondering at that point why these adults, these parents, these uncles, these aunts, or whoever they may have been, did not see the same pain that I saw in that picture. Where was the humanity, the humility, the heart for a child? Where was that? And where did that lie? And what made Andrew different? And what made Andrew a target? So all those things went through my mind as I thought about that last mugshot photo of my son. And in the news, they told you about a boy that was killed on the interstate. Well, why was Andrew on the interstate, was my question. The children are 12 and 13, no one's driving yet. So I had to figure out, why was he on the interstate? And it wasn't until the little children came home and saw the news and saw his picture. And those brave and courageous children said, Miss Joseph, when we were at the fair, Andrew's with the sheriff's department when we left him. It was Candace McCowan with the Channel 10 News, and she says, Miss Joseph, we got them. I said, Candace, the children are saying Andrew just didn't die on the interstate. It just didn't make sense. She said, the children were your witnesses. They told the truth. They told the story. And what a heavy burden for children to have to tell, that their Little League teammate was with the sheriff department, and the sheriff department is the reason he's dead. So in all of that, you would think our department would say, yes, we did it. We're sorry. Here's a card, a fruitcake, some roses or whatnot. Nah, they didn't do that. It was then at that point they blamed the victim. Well, Andrew should have called his parents. Well, Andrew should have known better. Or Miss Joseph, we gave him a ride like he was at Disney World. So all of those mind manipulation tricks is what they do to families. And in that, you're looking at Andrew in this paddy wagon, asking for help, saying, "Sir, I don't know where you're dropping me off at. I'm a suburban kid. I don't really know Tampa. I live in Riverview. My mom brings me to school and picks me up. So to drop me on Orient Road in the city of Tampa, I'm not really that familiar. Well, this is where we have to drop you off. But it's nighttime and it's raining. It's drizzling. This is where we have, well, Mrs. Munn, my carpool mom is picking me up. Well, you have to walk 2 miles and bypass the interstate." Those were the instructions a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old were receiving. So in trying to get back to the safety of the fair, he's hit and killed. The driver leaves with the remains of Andrew on the car because no investigation is ever done, because the FHP forgets the policy and procedure that night. So then, as a victim family, you have to file a grievance because I need to pull every case you've ever worked, Lieutenant Hartwell, to see if you've always forgot the policy and procedures of a death vehicular incident on the interstate. In filing a grievance, then you learn that you've done this before, that this is a pattern of your practice. So to walk in my shoes, you would have to have some really heavy, heavy, heavy souls, because this has been a battle. This has been war. This has been something that you would not, as the average person, ever imagine to be true. So when you all saying about pushing, breathing and pushing, that's what we've been doing. We've been breathing and pushing through this pain, pushing through this immunity, pushing through this prejudice, and pushing through just to live and be able to stand before you today. So I don't come as a mother in this state of grief, understanding that in my grief there is power. And the power is in all of you to stand with us, to be able to do your part so that when we are speaking and saying the names of our children, there's some wind behind our wings. You are the voice of your people. You are the voice of those in which we cannot reach. Many of you will believe that this is just some black people problem, but it's not. We have countless victims' families. It's a systemic problem. It is the system that is rooted in immunity, prejudice, racism. It is that system that needs to be torn down to the studs to be built new again. So we employ each and every one of you to dig deep in your hearts of hearts, in the power and chambers of your heart, and build all of the resource into this camp. And we are going to use all the tools in our toolbox to build the world in which our children and future generations can live free. Because I tell you today, as a broken heart, and my heart is heavy, because I'm tired of having these conversations. You know what this is. You know what this looks like. You know what your people are doing. And I know without a doubt that you, as the birthers of these children, bringing these seeds into the world, you can change the world. Thank you.
heartbreaking, and we need to build our hearts back up as well. This be a reminder. It's a reminder to me of why I do what I do. It's a reminder to us why we need such a strong community. And so I share with you this adaptation of the book of Micah, chapter 6. O human, you know deep in the well of your soul what is good and what is required of you: to do justice, to do acts of kindness, to walk humbly in the midst of this vast universe. And I would add, to give generously as we take our offering, so that we may continue to build this strong community and do justice and bring justice to this community. If for those who are online or on your cell phone, there is a link in the YouTube video or a QR code in your order of service. Let this sacred time begin.
Excerpts from Black Unicorn by Audre Lorde. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone. For those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways coming and going in the hours between dawns, looking inward and outward, at once before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures. Like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the death of ours. And now the choir.
It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. It was 11:59 and 59 clicks. The whole world's burning, but the clock just ticks. Over and over, every single day. Some people steal while other people pray. To God, to man, machines or whatever. Some of us just lost faith altogether. No way, they say, we can't live this way. That's why so many people stand up and say, one love, one blood, one heart, one soul and one drum and only one rhythm, one tribe and all of us singing. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. I wanna spend it with you. In 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. It was 11:59 and 59 clicks. Life support's plugged in, the whole world's sick. Got the Caesars excited, they crawled up inside us. Super stupiditis, philosophies that divide us. Keeping some fear from one another so we can't recognize a brother from another mother. No way, we can't live this way. That's why so many people stand up and say, one love, one blood, one heart, one soul and one drum and only one rhythm, one tribe and all of us singing. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. I wanna spend it with you. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. It was 11:59 and 59 clicks. The whole world's burning, but the clock just ticks. Some people cry, others occupy. Throw your hands high as the bullets fly by. I dry my eyes, others wonder why, but I just wanna be with you until the day I die. One love, one heart, one soul and one drum and only one rhythm, one tribe and all of us singing. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, with you. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. Hey, hey, I wanna spend it with you. In 59 seconds. If I'm gonna die tonight, I want heaven. It's 11:59 and 59 seconds.
So we just want to talk about how we can move forward. One of my demands from the Palmetto Police Department was to get a program throughout our communities, throughout the state of Florida is my vision. But I'm going to start here at my own home first. So what I did was I demanded that we get a program like the CALL program, which is in Pinellas County, and now it's being implemented in Hillsborough County. And it's called the Community Assistance and Life Liaison. And what that would do is a program that sends social workers for mental health, suicide, truancy, homeless, and dispute calls. It frees up officers, and it will also save a life. If this program was in place on November the 1st, then maybe my baby would still be here. So with me going to advocate at all of the city council meetings, the Manatee County Commissioners meetings. As a matter of fact, I have a meeting with County Commission this coming week so that we can talk about how we can get the program implemented throughout Manatee County. And upon speaking with Palmetto Police, they did follow my instruction and my demand. They went over to Pinellas County. They found out how their program was started, how much of a success it has been, and it has been a very good success in Pinellas. So with that being said, we have gotten a grant for Centerstone and USF to collaborate together, a $300,000 grant, and we have a pilot program that's going to be 3 years just to try it out within the city of Palmetto to see how it goes. The liaison would have their own vehicle that will go out to the scenes of these accidents. So I'm going to keep pushing and pushing, and I will be in Sarasota soon to see my officials here in Sarasota to see how we can get it running throughout all of our communities. So if anybody would like to help and get behind me, you can talk to me after this is over, and we can have a conversation to see how you can collaborate with the Minnesota Reentry Project to get all of these things in our neighborhood. Thank you.
And based on what I presented earlier, the work that we're working on is ending qualified immunity. How many of you know what qualified immunity is by a show of hands? Okay, so not many. So qualified immunity is an unjust legal doctrine that was created. And in that doctrine, it prolongs the cases of civil rights violations, criminally as well as bodily harm. So our family was successful in beating qualified immunity on 3 occasions because each time we presented the claim of our case, we were met with an entity saying that you cannot sue us. So on 3 different occasions, we go to the federal appellate court, and as you all know, that takes time to get a court date. So it prolonged our case 8.5 years. We were finally able to go to trial, hear the facts of the case, get accountability in the name of Andrew. But if qualified immunity was not the issue, we would have been able to get that done a whole lot quicker. Meanwhile, some families never even see a day in court. They never know the facts of the children's cases. They never know why their children were harmed. And we have to end that. You know, you just can't have rogue cops come in, steal your rights, steal your children, knock down your door, and have no accountability. And this just doesn't work with just police. That's any state entity. They have a right to create what they would say harm. You would say devastation to your life, and go about their business as if nothing had happened. And they try to tell us, oh, well, it's coming out of the taxpayers' dollars. Well, create insurance for your officers so that it won't have to come out of the taxpayers' dollars. When I have a case and I treat a patient, I have malpractice insurance. So officers need to have the same. So we're moving a lot of work. We need you to, this QR code that's behind me, scan it, sign the petition, tell Congress you want that to pass and that it's time, and we demand that to happen now. Thank you.
We have a closing song that is new, so new, that there isn't printed music. So we're going to sing it, this congregation, you're going to sing along with us, but we're going to sing it through once first, so that you hear how it goes, and then we have some verses.
Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. And it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Hey, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting my sister. It's gone on far too long. Hey, it's gone on far too long. Hey, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting my sister. It's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. And it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone on far too long. Oh, somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. And he won't be silent anymore.
Our closing words are Whose Moral Values by Wanel Verrett Butler. Whose moral values allows our youth to be put in harm's way? Not ours. Whose moral values see them gunned down and walk away? Let me hear you say it. Not ours. Whose moral values allow starvation to prevail? Not ours. Whose moral values lets our education system fail? Not whose moral values choose to build jails instead of schools? Not whose moral values sets us up for failure and calls us fools? Not whose moral values say forget about our health? Not whose moral values judge us by our zip code and family wealth? Not whose moral values turns a deaf ear to our neighborhood's pain? Not whose moral value says, not my problem, then find someone else to blame? Not whose moral values will eventually say, let's walk together and take a stand? Ours. Whose moral values will have the guts to say, enough is enough, and restore justice in our land? Ours. Please join me now in extinguishing our chalice. The words will be on the screen, and I don't see our face, so we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. The words of community, of higher limit, these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all, dear friends.